Stop. Your soulmate's heart is pulling them back to you faster than ever. My beloved child. Stop for a moment, because something has shifted inside your soulmate, and they can no longer pretend they do not feel it. They may have tried to create distance. They may have convinced themselves that silence would make everything easier. They may even have told themselves that enough time would weaken what they feel for you. But something unexpected is happening instead. The farther they tried to move emotionally, the stronger the pull became. And now their heart is bringing them back toward the one person they could never completely erase from their thoughts, you. Don't skip, because what changed inside them is more important than the silence you have been seeing from the outside. There was a moment recently when your soulmate remembered something about you that they had been trying not to revisit. It was not necessarily a dramatic memory. It could have been your voice, the way you understood something nobody else noticed, a conversation that once seemed ordinary, or simply the feeling of being around you. But that memory opened a door they thought they had already closed. Suddenly, everything they had pushed aside began returning. Questions. Feelings. Regrets. Possibilities. And one thought became impossible to ignore: what if I walked away from something I was supposed to understand more deeply? That question has been following them. Stay till the end, because their heart is not pulling them back simply because they miss you. Something much deeper is beginning to surface. They are starting to recognize the difference between missing someone and realizing that someone changed you. Missing can disappear. But transformation stays. And your soulmate is realizing that, knowing you changed something inside them. That is why distractions are not working the way they expected. Other conversations feel different. Familiar places trigger memories. Quiet moments become filled with thoughts of what they should have said. They keep returning mentally to unfinished moments between you, and every time they do, the emotional distance becomes harder to defend. They thought stepping away would give them certainty. Instead, it gave them comparison. And comparison has revealed something they were not prepared to admit. What they felt with you was not as easy to replace as they once believed. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next realization is the one that has started changing their direction completely. Your soulmate has begun replaying the moment when things between you could have gone differently. This is where everything becomes intense, because they are no longer remembering only what happened, they are thinking about what could still happen. There is a difference. For a while, their mind may have treated your connection like a closed chapter, something meaningful but finished. Now that certainty is cracking. They are wondering whether the story actually ended or whether fear, timing, pride, confusion, or unspoken feeling simply interrupted it. Don't skip. This is the turning point. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that avoiding a feeling does not automatically remove it. Sometimes avoidance makes the truth louder because there is nothing left to distract the heart from what it already knows. Imagine them alone for a moment, looking at their phone, thinking about reaching out, then stopping themselves. They start typing something in their mind before they ever type it on a screen. Would you even want to hear from me? Did I wait too long? Do you still think about what happened? These questions are becoming stronger because another realization has arrived. They do not want to wonder about you forever. That is the secret pressure building inside them. It is no longer only about emotion. It is about time. They are realizing that if they keep waiting, your life will continue moving. You may become stronger without them. You may stop looking backward. You may reach a point where the door they assumed would always remain slightly open finally closes. And strangely, that possibility is revealing the depth of what they feel. Stay till the end, because something has happened inside their heart that they cannot reverse easily. They have started imagining what it would feel like to see you again, not in some perfect fantasy, but in a real moment. Standing in front of you. Hearing your voice. Watching your expression. Having no distance left to hide behind. And the thought makes them nervous because they know one look could bring everything back. Yet it also gives them hope, because somewhere underneath all that hesitation is a simple desire. They want another chance to understand what this connection truly means. They want to know whether the feeling between you disappeared, or whether it has quietly been waiting for both of you to become ready enough to face it. And now comes the revelation they never expected. The very distance they thought would help them move forward has been pulling their attention backward toward you. Every unanswered question became another thread. Every memory became another reminder. Every attempt to convince themselves that they were completely finished made them notice how unfinished everything still felt. My beloved child, this does not mean you should chase anyone or put your life on hold. The powerful change is happening because your soulmate is beginning to confront their own feelings without you forcing anything. That matters. Something huge is waiting for you, because the strongest pull is not coming from loneliness, it is coming from clarity. They are beginning to see qualities in you that they overlooked when emotions were complicated. They remember your patience differently now. They understand certain words you once said differently. Even moments when you remained quiet are beginning to make sense. And there is one particular realization that keeps returning. You may have cared more deeply than they understood at the time. That thought is affecting them because it forces them to question their own choices. What if they misread you? What if they protected themselves from something that was never trying to hurt them? What if the connection they kept analyzing did not need another explanation, it needed courage? Don't skip, because this is exactly where their heart begins moving faster than their fear. They may still hesitate. They may still wonder how you would respond. But the emotional balance has changed. Before, fear was louder than longing. Now longing is beginning to challenge fear. Before, silence felt safer. Now silence is becoming uncomfortable. Before, they could tell themselves, maybe someday. Now another thought is appearing. What if someday becomes too late? And that thought is powerful enough to change behavior. Your soulmate is approaching a decision they have delayed again and again. A decision involving honesty, vulnerability, and the possibility of finally acknowledging what they have been trying to keep hidden. Stay till the end of this journey, because the next movement is not about another memory. It is about action. Something inside them is reaching the point where thinking about you will no longer feel like enough. They are beginning to want an answer. They are beginning to want the truth. And more than anything, they are beginning to wonder whether there is still a path back to you. But before they make that move, there is one final fear they must face, and it is the exact fear that has kept them silent for far longer than you realize. There is one fear your soulmate has been carrying quietly, and it has nothing to do with whether they still feel something for you. They already know those feelings never disappeared the way they expected. The real fear is far more personal. They are afraid they waited so long that you may no longer need what they are finally ready to offer. That thought has changed everything. Somewhere inside them, they imagined they would always have more time. More time to understand themselves. More time to figure out what went wrong. More time to decide whether they should speak. But lately, that comfortable idea has started falling apart. They are beginning to realize that while they were hesitating, you were still living, changing, growing, and becoming someone who may eventually stop waiting for explanations. Don't skip, because this is where their emotional pull toward you becomes stronger than before. Your soulmate has started wondering what would happen if somebody else recognized your value before they found the courage to return. That possibility hits differently. It makes them remember all the little things they once took for granted, the way you listened, the way you noticed what they were feeling before they explained it, the way certain conversations with you felt strangely effortless. Those memories are no longer harmless nostalgia. They are becoming evidence. Evidence that what existed between you had a depth they did not fully appreciate while they were standing inside it. And now they are asking themselves a question they cannot easily silence. Why did I understand their importance only after creating distance? Stay till the end, because their answer to that question is pushing them toward an even bigger realization. They are beginning to see that some of their hesitation was never truly about you. It came from their own uncertainty. Their own fear of being vulnerable. Their own habit of stepping backward when something became emotionally important. But now that pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. Your soulmate is starting to understand that if they repeat it again, they could lose something they actually wanted to protect. Something huge is waiting for you, because this time they are not only remembering you, they are questioning the version of themselves that allowed silence to continue this long. And then something even more unexpected began happening. Your soulmate started imagining the conversation they have been avoiding. Not a perfect conversation. Not some dramatic moment where every sentence comes out beautifully. They imagine stumbling over words. They imagine your silence after hearing what they have to say. They imagine looking into your eyes and realizing there is nowhere left to hide. And somehow, even with all that uncertainty, they still want the conversation. That is the shift. Before, the fear of your response kept them quiet. Now the fear of never knowing your response is becoming stronger. Don't skip. This matters because people can live with uncertainty for a long time, until one possibility becomes more painful than the risk of discovering the truth. Your soulmate is approaching that point. They want to know whether you still feel that unfinished energy between you. They want to know whether the door is completely closed or whether something meaningful remains behind it. Most importantly, they want you to understand something they struggle to admit even to themselves. Their distance was never proof that you meant nothing. In some ways, the intensity of what they felt may have been exactly why they became uncertain. But time has given them a perspective they did not have before. They can now look backward and recognize moments when they should have spoken instead of disappearing into their thoughts. Moments when they should have asked instead of assuming. Moments when they should have trusted what was happening instead of trying to control every possible outcome. Stay till the end, because there is another layer beneath all of this. They are not simply asking themselves whether they should come back. They are asking what kind of person they would need to become if they did. They know returning with the same confusion would accomplish nothing. They know words without consistency would mean very little. And that realization is forcing them to think differently. If they approach you again, part of them wants it to be with greater honesty than before. Less guessing. Less hiding. Less pretending everything is fine when something important remains unsaid. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is slowly understanding that getting closer to you again would require more than emotion. It would require courage. But there is still one moment they keep imagining, and this may be the moment that finally pushes them beyond hesitation. They imagine reaching out, and receiving no answer. That possibility scares them more than they want to admit. Yet strangely, instead of making them retreat completely, it is showing them how much the connection still matters. My beloved child, notice the difference. They are no longer asking only, what if I reach out and things go wrong? Now they are also asking, what if I never reach out and spend years wondering what could have happened? That second question is becoming louder. Don't skip, because this is where the direction changes. Their heart is beginning to choose clarity over endless uncertainty. They may not know exactly what comes next. They may not know how you feel today. They may not even know what words they would use if the opportunity appeared. But internally, something has moved. The emotional wall that once felt solid is developing cracks, and through those cracks they are seeing a possibility they had almost convinced themselves to forget. You. Not the old version of you frozen inside a memory, but the person you are becoming now. They are curious about you again. How have you changed? What have you learned? Do you still laugh at the same things? Would your eyes reveal recognition if you saw them again? Would there be warmth, distance, surprise? Or something neither of you could immediately explain? Stay till the end, because the answers are no longer things your soulmate wants to imagine forever. They are beginning to want reality. And there is one truth becoming clearer with every passing moment: if they continue hiding behind silence, silence itself may make the decision for them. They could lose the chance without ever actually choosing to lose it. That realization is creating urgency. Something huge is waiting for you, because their next internal battle is not about whether their heart is pulling them back. That battle is already being decided. The question now is whether they will finally follow where that heart is pointing. And just when they thought they understood what was happening inside them, one memory returned with such force that it changed the meaning of everything between you. And this memory may be the reason they finally stop running. That memory returned when your soulmate least expected it, and suddenly the distance between you did not feel like distance anymore. It felt like unfinished business of the heart. They remembered a moment when you looked at them differently, not with pressure, not with expectation, but with an understanding that reached deeper than anything they were prepared to receive. At the time, they may have brushed past it. They may have acted normal. They may even have convinced themselves that the moment meant nothing extraordinary. But now they understand why it stayed with them. You saw something beneath the surface. You noticed the emotions they were trying to hide, and somehow you made them feel understood without demanding an explanation. Don't skip, because that memory has become the key to what is happening inside them now. Your soulmate has met people, had conversations, stayed busy, and tried to move forward, but that particular feeling has remained difficult to recreate. And this is where the truth becomes impossible for them to ignore. They were not simply attached to your presence. They were attached to how real they felt around you. Stay till the end, because once they recognized that difference, everything started moving faster. They began revisiting other memories. The conversations that lasted longer than expected, the moments when one simple sentence from you changed their entire mood, the strange comfort of knowing you were there. Suddenly, details they had buried started connecting. And what they discovered surprised them. Their heart had been leaving clues all along. Every time your name crossed their mind unexpectedly. Every time something happened and you were the person they instinctively wanted to tell. Every time they wondered how you were doing but stopped themselves from asking. Those were not meaningless moments. They were signs of an emotional connection they had never completely resolved. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is now realizing that the hardest thing was never forgetting what happened between you. The hardest thing was admitting why they could not forget it. And that admission is changing the way they see the future. Before, they kept looking backward and asking what went wrong. Now another question is taking over: what could happen if I stopped being afraid and finally became honest? Don't skip, because this is where regret begins turning into intention. Your soulmate does not want to return simply because the past feels familiar. They are beginning to understand that returning only matters if something can be different. They are thinking about the things they would say differently. The questions they should have asked. The assumptions they should never have made. And most importantly, they are thinking about what you deserve to hear from them but never did. Perhaps it was an apology. Perhaps it was appreciation. Perhaps it was simply the truth about how deeply your presence affected them. Whatever remained unspoken has become heavier with time, and your soulmate can feel that weight whenever they imagine seeing you again. But here is the surprising change. Instead of running from that feeling, they are beginning to lean toward it. They are starting to believe that an uncomfortable truth may be better than comfortable silence. Stay till the end, because this realization is bringing them closer to a decision. They know they cannot control your response. They cannot control whether you have changed your mind. They cannot rewrite everything that happened. But they can control whether they continue hiding. And for the first time, that feels powerful to them. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have started mentally rehearsing the words they could never say before. Not dramatic promises. Not perfect speeches. Something much simpler. Something real. I should have told you what I was feeling. I should have handled things differently. I never stopped wondering about you. Those thoughts are becoming harder to keep locked inside. And every time your soulmate imagines finally saying them, fear appears, but something else appears beside it now. Relief. The possibility of finally putting down everything they have carried silently. That feeling is pulling them toward you faster than nostalgia ever could. Now your soulmate stands at an emotional doorway they cannot keep avoiding forever. Behind them is the familiar silence they have already lived with. Ahead of them is uncertainty, but also the possibility of finally knowing the truth. My beloved child, this is why the pull feels stronger now. Their heart is no longer fighting only for a memory. It is fighting against the possibility of permanent regret. Don't skip, because there is something your soulmate has finally understood about you. You were never asking them to be perfect. What mattered was honesty, presence, courage. And looking back, they are beginning to realize how much easier things might have been if they had simply allowed themselves to be real with you. That realization hurts, but it also gives them direction. They cannot change yesterday, but they can decide what they do with today. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is app.